Yes, Ant-Man has now finally made his debut on the big screen, which is a small screen if you're Giant Man, a really big screen if you're Ant-Man. It's a long story and completely irrelevant. Ant-Man's long-awaited silver screen movie film feature-length Pictures of Motion is now out and shocking the world of Marvel's tiniest hero.
When you're small, you have
But of course we don't care about that. No, we're here to talk about toys. Marvel toys. Marvel superhero mashes. Ant-Man. Yes, Ant-Man is retaining the trend of what I love most about the Mashes series. The quirky, stylish, just good solid built figures, but most importantly, he is a complete figure with no ridiculous attachments. I'm talking about you, Spider-Man. What? Yes, Ant-Man just has limbs, like God intended. I don't know why that's an evil thing. Ant-Man is rocking his traditional comic book attire, which is another thing I personally love about the Mashes series, is their actual comic book roots.
Nobody wants to talk things out anymore. Disappointing. Well, we'll do things the hard way then.
I do feel if the Ant-Man figure came out at a later date, he might be dressed in the movie attire, which of course is no bad thing, but I would always choose the comic book look as the default, as my personal preference. It's a strange and interesting fact, given that Ant-Man is from the same wave as figures as Rocket Raccoon and Star-Lord, both of which are heavily rooted in the movie counterparts.
Oh, yeah.
No, Rocket, that's not a good thing. Sad face! If articulation and figure movements is your thing, you might find it interesting to know that the Mashes' original impressive ankle pivots, they're not to be found here.
Well, they weren't kidding.
The shoulder pivots have been reduced to a more flush look, but they still give it a 360 spin. The neck pivot is still on point though, with great movement all around. I'm sure it varies figure to figure, but I found getting the joints to move took a little easing in, but then considering the size of the connections in the Mashes series, it's really not all that surprising. There's probably a very minor point that most of them wouldn't have even noticed. Toys. Ant-Man. It wouldn't be a Masher figure without some nifty little accessories, and it sure as hell wouldn't be Ant-Man without some ants. Instead we get these. Not ant enough to be an ant, but also not ant enough to not be an ant, you know? There's some strange crossbreed mutant ant, like that ant wasp I found in my bedroom. The body of a wasp with the head of an ant. I decided it must be a yellow jacket, and henceforth called it a yellow jacket. Despite that actually, a yellow jacket is a name for a wasp, depending on where you're located. Although a yellow jacket and a common wasp are two different things. But also a common wasp can be referred to as a common yellow jacket. So what the hell do I know? And therefore it must be an ant wasp. And also completely irrelevant.
It's a bust.
I would have liked something a bit more ant-like, or the option to have one which can sit in his hand. Or dare I dream, a tiny little wasp that can sit in his hand. Although, I'm more than happy to wait for a Giant Man figure with that as an accessory. For me, Ant-Man is one of my favourite Marvel Mashes to date. He looks the part, I can add extras to him rather than being part of the mold. He's not too bulky in design, and he looks like he was pulled right from his comic book roots. Plus he could do this. I might have made that last part up.
Welcome to my world, Claw. Ready to talk now?
Ant-Man, you sir can stand proudly.